Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters here. As you can see by all of our pro gamers practicing, especially on fresh accounts at the moment, the Diamond Ladder is very unsafe right now, so be careful as you head out today on the ladder. We are almost ready, though, to go into our next Protoss versus Protoss, as we have ShoWTimE going up against Deer.
Rotterdam and Artosis here to cast a wonderful PvP coming up. ShoWTimE in a tough spot in the group right now, going up against a reinvigorated Deer. What do you think, Roddy?
Yeah, a very tough spot. A must-win scenario. I'd almost say for ShoWTimE. I'm sure that there is one odd three-way tie scenario where he could go 2 and 3 and somehow still squeeze in.
Yeah.
But he lost both of his series 0-2, and that is a very big deal. Map score matters. ShoWTimE needs to win this one. I do think it's safe to say that ShoWTimE played the two toughest opponents in this group. I mean, he had Maru and TY back-to-back, so...
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
Yeah, do or die already.
Yeah, especially since he didn't take a map, right? Like, for instance, Deer, he did lose to TY, but he took a map there. So that is an important difference for sure. A win here against Deer kind of like ensures him against already a better map score against Deer. But anyways, here we go into game number 1 on Blackpink. In the top right, our German Protoss player from Arma Team, it's ShoWTimE.
And over here on the left bottom side of Blackpink, we're looking at main base of our Korean Protoss, it's Deer. Now Artie, I was watching the games between Deer and TY very closely, and I do have the feeling that Deer might be steaming a tiny bit, because game number 1, you know, he kind of won it by adding some light pressure, and this was actually not an all-in. He had 2 forges on the way, he was on 3 bases, and then TY just kind of fell apart. He overextended a little bit, lost all his units, and Deer's like, well, maybe I can just win with these Stalkers. He was up like 12 workers and having double forge on the way, and won game 1, and then both in game 2 and game 3, he opened up with losing 17 probes against the first Terran aggression. I think that's going to put you on tilt a little bit.
Did it have a couple Cyclones and a couple Hellions in it?
The last game, Catalyst, some people probably thought they were watching another rewind of Maru versus Deer of the GSL, because that's pretty much what it was again, even though this time he didn't have a Stargate, he opened up with a Twilight. But again, it's 2-3 Cyclones, 2 Hellions, and a random Reaper, and he loses 17 probes.
Yeah.
It's hard to just get over those kind of games.
I would definitely agree with you, and that's been such a thorn in his side lately. As you mentioned, he lost that in GSL, and it looked pretty bad, man. Like, he just was not able to hold these not completely standard early aggressions, but early aggressions that shouldn't just kill you.
Nope, I mean, nobody likes to lose against the first 2 or 3 Cyclones.
No.
Especially after he was so convincing in game 1. Now, of course, he is a veteran in the scene. The boys at the desk mentioned as well how strong Deer was in 2013. He was the overwhelming favorite to win BlizzCon back then after winning that GSL and being victorious at the WCS Season 3 finals in Canada as well. So he's been it all, or he's seen it all, and he's been there and done that. But no matter how you look at it, some of these losses, they are very frustrating, and they're always going to bother you a little more than just a regular straight-up macro loss.
I would agree with that one for sure. But looking at this as PvP, I'm wondering what type of shape Deer is in. I tell you, at Leipzig, I was really impressed with how ShoWTimE was playing his PvPs there against Neeb. It was a really strong series, of course. We all know and respect Neeb's Protoss versus Protoss quite a bit. So could be a tough one here for Deer.
I totally agree. ShoWTimE looked really good, especially in the Phoenix versus Phoenix department. I mean, on Neon Violet against Neep, he won a Phoenix war while he was the honest man. And with the honest man, I mean that he had a robotics facility. He went Phoenix and Robo, while Neep was actually pure Phoenix, and then just went double Stargate. And ShoWTimE was still able to win, so I have the feeling that he's feeling very confident in Phoenix versus Phoenix, but it's also one of those scenarios where one mistake and you can straight up lose the game.
Certainly is. You see here are some pressure coming out of Deer. Of course, he's already started his Phoenixes. Phoenix being started by ShoWTimE as well, so not going to get caught with the Oracle or anything like that. One thing I definitely do like about ShoWTimE, he made a sentry, yeah. So he will get a nice scout off there, and look at this. He's got his probe in position. You know, every now and then you don't have that probe there. It's like, oh, look at that. Ton of probes getting killed, but some good defense here so far from ShoWTimE.
Yeah, this scout is very important, and make sure you don't lose that hallucinated Phoenix against the Stalker.
Yeah.
That is not going to happen. So now ShoWTimE can get the confirmation. There are Phoenixes on the other side of the map. This is info that Deer doesn't have yet.
Yes.
And this is crucial right now, guys, because if Deer flies in too far, flies into a bigger number of Phoenixes of ShoWTimE, he will end up losing. But I think that Deer is good enough to be very careful with his Phoenixes to not commit to a fight he can't win.
Well, look at this. Even killing off those Adepts, it looks like the Phoenixes will end up hitting each other here. It looks like a one for none. Oh, a huge moment here for ShoWTimE.
Should go back, though. There's no need to trade there in the end. And that's indeed a massive victory. The one thing that Deer had going for himself is that he had one slightly faster Phoenix. So it was sort of, in a way, 3v2. But he was fighting on ShoWTime's side of the map because he didn't know yet, and he needs to scout, obviously, in case of Dark Templars. So the 2v2 battle, once again, ShoWTimE showing us that he's an absolute master in disguise.
Yeah, ShoWTimE just in very good shape after this. Look at this. He's the first to add his second Stargate. He's getting that third gas right now. Of course, double gas at the expansion for Deer. He wants to get into that some additional tech as well, but throwing down the Twilight, maybe because he did lose that one Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that he's going to go for a Dark Shrine. I don't believe that you want to still make Phoenixes and then go Blink Stalkers. Now, of course, it is possible. You sometimes see Protoss players do it, but I think it's too risky, and I don't think in general it really works out. He should have known, since he saw the ShoWTimE Phoenix count, that he could have just continued making Phoenixes himself. So going into Twilight here, I'm expecting a Dark Shrine somewhere, but let's see. No, it does blink. Wow.
Well, the Korean Protosses sometimes do play like this. They'll stay on that one Stargate Phoenix for a bit, continue to make the Phoenixes, and try to hit a strong Stalker attack. Now, will that end up working out? Like, I tell you, Rotterdam, I look at a game like this, and whoever has that Phoenix lead, I always feel that player's in control.
This scout is so important for ShoWTimE. If ShoWTimE can get the scout off, you can see there, he's actually actively trying to deny a scout. If ShoWTimE sees the Twilight Council, ShoWTimE will fly immediately towards the other side of the map. He will win the Phoenix battle, he will start killing probes, and most likely win the game. This scout is massive.
Oh, man, right through the center, too. It's like Deer was ready for a sneaky location on this fly-in, but it went right through the middle of the map, and here come those Phoenixes. Like you said, Rotterdam, he has a lead by 2 Phoenixes right now. That's huge.
Yep, Deer knows he can't fight. Shield batteries are very good, though. You gotta respect shield batteries in PvP fights. But here we go, a lot of Stalkers in the main base, and actually he's gonna lift Stalkers. That's a little bit risky.
Actually loses one right off the bat, so has to be careful about that. Only up a single Phoenix at this point.
Yep, and now near that shield battery, you gotta be so careful, though. Scouts to third base as well. Ooh.
What I gotta say, I mean,
Deer is transitioning really smoothly out of this Phoenix phase, by the way. I'm impressed with the way that Deer is playing this.
Just the fact that he had a very healthy number of Stalkers in the main, kept the Phoenixes over shield battery at the natural. I mean, he's defended everything quite well. Now, do you continue to produce a ton of Phoenix here as ShoWTimE? It's a little bit risky, it feels like.
It is, but if you have a robotics facility, I wouldn't even hate it that much. I think he's gonna stop. He's gonna try to kill a couple of probes and try to get engaged in one of those Phoenix battles. I think he got one Phoenix there, right? So this was still an alright trade there for ShoWTimE. He got a Phoenix, he got a couple probes. At ShoWTimE seems like he just wants to make Phoenix Immortal Archon himself. I think making a few more Phoenixes and making a few more Immortals would have been fine too, but that's just me, Artie.
Well, you are Roddy. You like the mech from Protoss, man. We know that. The Phoenix is still flying around, seeing if they can get anything done. Definitely he's going to need to keep that Immortal count up, though. The amount of Stalkers we see here from Deer is pretty ridiculous. Of course, he is teching up as well, going to get into Archons, going to get into Charge Lots, has his +1 a bit ahead of ShoWTimE also. So I got to tell you, this was a very smooth transition.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm very impressed by the way that DR has played this. In general, we always said, if it's Phoenix versus Phoenix, you just keep making Phoenixes. And unless you've got like a 4-base economy, don't even think about transitioning.
Yeah.
But he actually made it look pretty smooth and relatively safe. Very well played, but he's not out of the woods just yet, and he's absolutely not winning this game just yet. But he's played awesome.
Yeah, the Stalker's just kind of zoning everything out very well. Picks off another free stock right there. Has the High Templars waiting for feedbacks if anything comes in the natural. The Phoenixes, like, ShoWTimE has made a lot of Phoenixes. He got ahead in the Phoenixes. He killed a few Phoenixes without losing his Phoenixes. Like, these are all things I normally look at and say, okay, this guy's winning. But when I look at the energy count on these, like, he's not really even been able to harass.
And that is a big problem now that High Templars are out on the field. I love that you mentioned the energy. These High Templars could potentially one-shot well, almost all of them, I would say. More than a few just Phoenixes, but if he lands 3-4 feedbacks, I think the Phoenixes without the purple health bars means they're full on energy. So that's all one click, one kill.
That would be pretty brutal. You do not want to lose them at that point. Like, I mean, these are an expensive unit, 150, 100, and like, if you're just losing them, you know, it's like, oh, I killed one probe. Well, that's not worth it, Mr. Phoenix.
Damn, I am still like, I'm trying to puzzle this game in my own mind, right? While slowing down a little bit. ShoWTimE scouted even on time. He really spotted the transition on time. Maybe he should have dived on top of the Phoenixes in the natural, but that shield battery, it's very risky.
He was only up 2 at that point, which is why this was so smooth from Deer, right? Like, it takes a bit for your first Stargate to make, then it takes a bit to get the additional Phoenix, and then you need to really get like another one if you're going to go and battle. And I mean, it just, Deer showing a complete mastery of the situation, even getting Psystorm, I think that's brilliant.
I loved it. Okay, the Phoenix is going to fly in on the left side. There are no High Templars in position, so finally ShoWTimE is able to burn a little bit of this energy. But something that I mentioned very often is that killing 5 probes is massive if your opponent has like 26, 28 workers, or even less than that. But right now, Deer was sitting at 61, 66 workers. If he ends up losing 5 probes here, that's not that big of a deal anymore. He has survived the scariest phase in this PvP, and even though this has been 10 minutes of not too much happening, I'm very intrigued by this game.
Well, this attack coming up from Deer, I think, is so scary because you look at this army, you say, okay, that's still a pretty good army. That's a lot of high-quality units. But the amount of Psystorms that are going to blanket that, he has no way to stop these Psystorms. I mean...
And Feedback as well. I mean, potentially ShoWTimE wants to kill the War Prison with his Phoenixes, but Feedback could land on top of all these Phoenixes.
Oh, great Psystorms going down as well, hitting those Immortals, triggering a bunch of shields. He has to run out of it. This third base, 100% going to go down almost for free here from Deer.
And the gateway count is so high for Deer. ShoWTimE is warping in a couple of units, but look at the amount of Zealots that are just running in. Deer is warping in 10, 11 units at a time. He still has a couple of additional Storms. He could morph those High Templars into Archons as well. Damn, Deer. This is amazing. What a way to play this game.
A truly well-played game here from Deer. Even though ShoWTimE's early game definitely was better, it was better executed. Deer showing like a very good understanding of the way he wants to play this matchup, and I'm looking at where ShoWTimE's at. He still has a scary army, but a lot of the shield's gone. Look at that, triggering those Immortals once again, just running out of Psystorm non-stop.
I mean, Storm in PvP is not something we see super often. You often have people wonder, wouldn't it be good? Like, often it is good, but often you just can't afford it. Deer showed us a very smooth way of how he can afford it, and he takes game number 1. Damn. What a PvP by Deer.
Yeah, that was really well played. Very strong play. And the thing is, the way that he played that is not a way that you see non-Korean Protosses generally play Protoss versus Protoss. And I think that's a problem for ShoWTimE here, right? Because he is a very good PvP player, and he's playing very good PvP players, but there's a different style out in Europe. There's a different style in America, so not really prepared for this.
I think he's quite confused about that one. Let's take a look at what's happening in the other games of Group A with Kaelaris and the boys.
That's right, thank you guys. We do have 2 more series going on at the moment, 2 TVTs, and I believe let's check in with Gumiho and Pig as you're going with Gumiho and TY. That's the one.
I mean, I could maybe fight these guys for about 2 minutes before I lose, but yeah, Gumiho versus TY, an epic match. Let's go in and look at it. We are in the kind of dying throws for Gumiho right now after a massive long game. We've seen about 400 of those Raven missiles land this game.
Yeah.
We've seen TY run in and actually land EMPs on like a dozen Ravens all at once. Here we go, a few more of these flying out all over the place. And that's going to be it. Oh my lord, what a crazy game. It's so cool, right? Because we're seeing the Ravens come in as this new late game unit.
Yeah.
But the difference here with TY is he's running a ghost in, launching an EMP, knocking down those units. He's doing more run-bys. He's running in with the harassment.
That's how he came back in this, because a minute ago I looked and it didn't look so bad for Gumiho. Like,
Gumiho had like the whole center of the map with sensor towers, turrets. He had like 2 more bases, but yeah, TY was all over it. There was one EMP that hit about 13 Ravens. Oof. That was a big turning point.
All right, well, thank you very much, Pig. We did have Maru versus Special going on, Todd. Game 1 is concluded.
yeah, and Maru was just... I feel like the perfect word would be suffocatingly good.
Okay.
He literally took a 4th base on location and he was pressuring Special, who stayed in his base almost the entire game.
Yeah.
And he was just sending armies and armies, and they were trading, and Maru eventually got his big break when he killed the 4th base of Special, and then he was on 4 bases against 3, and then slowly but surely he finished it. Like, it was so weird because Special stayed alive. I felt like he was playing very well, but Maru was just so insanely good that there was not much Special could do. So it was like a straight-up game in which Maru just kind of outplayed him, which at this point is getting a little bit worried. You know, Special, we know him as this guy that gets top 4, you know, in many events. He's having a very tough time today here.
Yeah, definitely. Not the easiest situation for Special or even the non-Koreans in general here in this group so far. We're going to head back to the commentators to continue our PvP.
All right, thanks, guys. Looks like some very interesting TVTs, a wide range of strategies coming out over there on the desk, and really over here as well.
Not as interesting as our PvPs.
No.
What I've just seen is actually something that I've seen very rarely. Such a smooth transition. Even after losing the first Phoenix for Deer, I'm still thinking about it. And the more I think about that first game, and I'm sure that ShoWTimE was probably trying to puzzle it or put the pieces in the right place as well. It's like, why exactly was he just so dominant after the 10-minute mark? Why was I not able to do anything? I honestly think if you have the Phoenix advantage, you've got the double Stargate, I think you need to jump on the Phoenixes of your opponent. I think the Stalkers being in the main, going for the Stalkers, lifting that Stalker was a mistake, but I think after that, the Chrono Boost out 2 more Phoenixes yourself and jump on top of those Phoenixes of your opponent. And I think the moment you don't do that, I think that's where Deer started to run away with the game, because it felt like the initial investment of the extra Phoenix and the second Stargate, it just never paid off, right?
It certainly did not. Those Phoenixes did not do their job. When you get ahead in Phoenixes, you're supposed to win that PvP, but, you know, ShoWTimE unable to do it. Hopefully we'll see a bit cleaner decision-making from our blue Protoss down on the southeast corner of the purple square map. It is ShoWTimE.
You got there.
I got there eventually. I'm like, uh-oh, south. Well, he's also to the right. The south right corner.
And over here on the northwest-ish side of this purple square map, we're looking at the main base of the Korean Protoss. Really impressive game won by him. It is Deer. And well, I mentioned that he probably had a tough mental state perhaps after game 2 and 3 against TY, where he lost 16 and 17 probes against the first attacks in those games. After that PvP, I would forget about all my losses from like the last week, because that was a game that I'm sure that Deer feels really good about.
Yeah, it was definitely very well played. Now, will they run into this Stargate type play again here?
I kind of feel if you go Stargate on Blackpink, it's quite likely that you're going for it on Neon Violet Square as well. But maybe one player feels that one is for sure going to go Stargate, and then it will actually try to go with a quick Twilight, maybe a 2-gate fast expand into a Twilight for then a Blink opening. That's pretty damn good against most Stargate openings. Could also be a Dark Templar build to mind game your opponent if you feel like they're going to open up with Phoenixes. But I think Stargates are quite likely.
Yeah, it feels like it's the best overall tech route in Protoss versus Protoss currently. But, you know, that's where those mind games, as you said, come in. We've seen actually a lot of Protoss versus Protoss coming out of Korea lately, and a surprising amount of quick Dark Shrines, to be honest.
Especially on that All Protoss day.
Yep.
Some very magical moments that the Dark Shrine can create. And this is a massive map. I mean, if you're looking to proxy a Dark Shrine somewhere, it's very unlikely it will get scouted early on. But we'll see. We'll also keep a close eye in the openings, and we're going to see some adepts from there. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, I cancel them.
Oh.
He's like, you know, my adepts in the previous game, they really didn't get much done. That's why I was even more impressed, by the way, because the adepts didn't get anything done.
Yeah.
And he lost the first Phoenix. And then he made it all look so easy and smooth. Like, those things don't add up.
No.
Like, we are here, and normally we emphasize on how big of a deal it is to lose your first Phoenix and on how big of a deal it is to at least get something out of your first 2 adepts.
Yeah.
They ignore all the rules that normally go in a PvP.
He just lost everything there.
Yeah.
And, oh, no, doesn't matter. Which is weird, too, because, you know, you go back a few years in time, and it's like, yeah, well, I mean, it's Korea versus Germany. But that's not, like, the world that we live in right now. ShoWTimE is a player that has gotten to things like BlizzCon before and beaten top Korean world champion players before. You know, it's not really an issue for him. So it just kind of goes to show that Deer is playing some phenomenal StarCraft today, much better than we've seen previously from him.
No, he looked really good. Shame about those 2 tiny games against TY where he just took too much economic damage. But even that game 2, if you would watch game 2 back, you'd be like, this is a ridiculous game. I recommend everyone to check it out, TY versus Deer, because TY should have won that very easily, and now we do have a Dark Shrine, but it is not proxied. That actually makes me a little bit sad, because I would like to see, even if you build it in the right bottom side of your pocket expand, I would just like to see.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to actually scout that out at that point. Now, it is a Phoenix on the way. Does he send the first Phoenix over? Deer open with double Stalker. He didn't make a sentry. So if he doesn't send it, well, if he does send it, he just knows and shouldn't have anything happen to him. But you can transition out of this as ShoWTimE.
Yeah, I think he's going to send his first Phoenix to the other side of the map and just keep it on the edge to make sure he doesn't fly into 2 Phoenixes. But of course, we know there are no Phoenixes on the map of ShoWTimE, and this is a massive scout for Deer. And this is why I was sad to see the Dark Shrine being built where it was actually built.
Well, it's going to be finishing pretty soon. He's making his robo, so he's not going to die from this whatsoever. We'll see if DTs actually do get warped down. I imagine ShoWTimE will commit.
He is a little bit afraid, though, Deer, that is. He's like, you know, I could rely on a full wall off. I could rely on another pilot and a shield battery, but let's just get the Oracle. I'm not exactly sure when those Dark Templars show up. I don't know how close your proxy is, but he actually finds the pylon.
Wow, yeah. And, well, he'll be able to take down the pylon, but that DT will end up finishing up, so...
Oh, that's a slow warp-in, though.
Oh, my God.
It's a really slow warp-in.
That's a heartbreaker. Oh, my God. Poor ShoWTimE, a few seconds off of actually getting his DT out. And now what does he do? Where does he go from here? He's getting Blink.
I think you just ignore your Dark Shrine and just expand. I think you get Blink, you stay on 2 gases for a little while, and then you go up to 3 bases already.
Well, that pocket expansion being taken by Deer here, definitely ahead as far as tech goes, if you ask me. Having multiple Phoenixes out for harassment, obviously they're great on defense as well. He's got his robo out, observers being made, definitely can make some immortals before Blink Stalkers become dangerous. And of course, both players realizing that with these types of openings, you can't kill each other. Let's get some forges.
I'm a little bit surprised to see ShoWTimE take the pocket expand as well.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you know, you get all the gas income that you need. So if you really want to be heavy on the Archon side and you're going to be covered there, you can also get your upgrades rolling. But I feel with Blink against a Phoenix player, you've got the freedom to take a real base, a base with more mineral patches than your pocket expand.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that regard. Like, when your opponent has Phoenixes, I mean, you're not really worried about them flying in and killing your probes at this point. There's no ground army that can come in and stop you from taking the more aggressive third, getting those extra minerals, because you know he has to go into charge from here because he's forcing all the immortals.
So I'm a little bit surprised by that decision from ShoWTimE, but we'll see. Maybe he's very paranoid about an immortal Phoenix push. I mean, there are some weirdos out there that like to do the Artosis, but
you know, this is what happens, Roddy. You got to stop playing on the ladder, man. You're poisoning these poor pro gamers' minds. They're like, oh no, I lost to this one time. It's this crazy build. It's like, no. Trust me, Deer is not going to do that.
No, he's absolutely not going to do that, and I'm totally aware of it. But we'll see. It's still a very playable game for ShoWTimE, but obviously not the opening that he was hoping for. Because when you open up with a Dark Shrine and you get 0 done, the only thing he got done in an indirect way is that he was able to force out an Oracle. That's literally the only accomplishment of this Dark Shrine.
And really, I mean, you can say force out an Oracle, but the Oracle is always useful. The tagging, even Stasis Wards can be useful in this situation. I don't think we're going to see a lot of probe kills from it, but, you know, just this additional scouting is pretty good.
Yep. And it's making ShoWTimE very paranoid, of course, because you can't really ignore the Oracle. And what if eventually Deer decides to make another Oracle? Then suddenly a shield battery is not enough anymore.
Yeah. Gets quite annoying at that point. Fourth base being taken by Deer, so definitely expanding quite a bit. The thing is, he has so much scouting intel that he knows that it's not like ShoWTimE can walk over and kill him anytime soon. So appropriately greedy play here. Even throwing down a nice stasis ward at that fourth location, making sure he knows when ShoWTimE tries to take it.
This is really annoying for ShoWTimE, because we look at this game and we look at all the numbers, like you guys at home, you're like, oh, it's actually still quite close, right? Deer's a little bit ahead, slightly faster forward. But for ShoWTimE, this feels like a disastrous game. You feel like you've done absolutely nothing with your initial attack. You feel like it got shot down. You have no idea what's happening on the other side of the map. I mean, I know he had an observer somewhere. Can we take a look at the observers from ShoWTimE? Because at first he used them at home to see where the Phoenixes were coming in from. So he's just been so in the dark, other than his hallucinated Phoenix scouts, but without any map presence, without able to deal any sort of economic damage. These kind of games feel very uncomfortable for a player like ShoWTimE. It's like, okay, how bad is it? I know it's bad. How bad is it? Well, it's actually not super bad, but I'm sure it feels pretty damn bad.
Well, he's not dead, but if you look at where they're at, the only advantage he has is Blink. Like, he has a smaller army. He has less immortals, I believe, right now, right? The upgrades are about the same, but, like, Deer has extra flying units, and his fourth base is a lot quicker.
Yeah, Deer's +2 is actually close to finishing up, and that is going to take a long time for ShoWTimE, because ShoWTimE is, well, I mean, it's like halfway down, but I don't think it's going to finish up in this fight. ShoWTimE really needs some meat for his army. He's getting all the shield batteries now, but is that too late, Artosis?
Well, I would say so, since Deer is already on top here at this fourth base. Moving forward right now, 3 immortal versus 3 immortal, so that's nice, but oh, the lift-ups on these Phoenixes really being worth their weight in gold right now.
Oh, and all the probes are being transferred as well. There are so many Archons there that could potentially one-shot all those workers, but perhaps instead of the workers, he should worry more about the army. As the Archons are falling, the Immortals went down, and I think that's going to be all she wrote in this series as well, as Deer gets his revenge for losing in the group stage of the Global Finals 2016. He's looking really good in this series, though.
Yeah, he is, not just in this series, but overall today. Deer really showing up and wanting to get out of this group into that next bracket stage. But I mean, this was just really solid, great play by Deer overall. I felt like ShoWTimE opened the games nicely and everything, but nothing working out for him.
That's a big victory. It's a 2-0 victory as well, which he knows could become very important in a potential three-way tie scenario.
Ooh, that's true. When you look at ShoWTimE's record right now, he's 0-6 in maps, and that's the first tiebreaker. So, I mean, someone has to be really bombing. A few players have to be bombing, and we know that they aren't.
I think it's pretty much impossible for ShoWTimE at this point. But there's still money on the line for every single victory in the group stage.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also, if you finish 4th in the group instead of 5th, I think you increase your prize winnings by $500 or something among those lines. So there is still plenty to play for ShoWTimE. But advancing is going to be, I would say, 99.9% sure impossible, or perhaps 100% impossible.
Yeah, but as you say, I mean, this guy has a lot of pride anyways. He's going to try his absolute best in these games going forward. Well, Deer is our victor. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll see how he's feeling about taking down ShoWTimE.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. We just saw a mirror matchup in Protoss versus Protoss, and Deer took down ShoWTimE. So first of all, congratulations, Deer. It was a pretty convincing 2-0. The last time you played ShoWTimE was in 2016 at the WCS Global Final Group Stage, and back then he actually knocked you out. And because of that, I'm wondering, were you eager to get revenge on him for that?
일단 축하드리고요. 쇼타임 선수를 지난번에 만났을 때는 거의 2년 전에 블리즈콘 때 만났었는데 그때 쇼타임 선수가 놀랍게도 이겼어요. 그래서 그때 떨어졌었는데 혹시 그것 때문에 복수하고 싶은 마음이 있었는지요?
그때도 쇼타임 선수가 굉장히 잘하는 선수고 지금도 물론 잘하는 선수지만 그냥 그때 졌던 거는 그냥 잘하는 선수였기 때문에 그냥 깔끔히 잊었고 근데 아무튼 지금도 잘하는 선수니까 그래도 계속 꼭 이기고 싶었는데 그래도 좀 깔끔하게 이겨서 다행인 것 같아요.
So he says, when it comes to the loss that I had almost 2 years ago at the WCS Global Finals, when I lost back then, I decided not to dwell on it because back then I considered him a really strong player as well. Coming into it today, I also, treated him with respect. I knew that he's still a very strong player. I'm just very thankful that the games played out so easily and that I was able to show a very clean series against him. And now overall, with this win, you're now standing 2-1 in this pretty difficult group. Are you satisfied with this? With this result?
이번에 이겨서 이제 2대1로 됐는데 이제 만족한지?
아니요, 원래는 지금 세 번째 선수까지 원래 3승을 기대하고 있었는데 그래도 2승이지만 그래도 승점 관리는 좀 잘한 것 같아가지고 그래도 다음 경기 이제 잘 해야 될 것 같아요.
So he says, no, actually, I was really hoping that I could get to 3 wins instead of the 2 wins, 1 loss that I'm currently at. That being said, I'm still pretty satisfied with the wins that I've had so far, and I'm just going to have to focus really, really hard on this next match coming up. And speaking of this next match, it's going to be against Gumio. The last time you played Gumio was very recently in the GSL where he beat you 2-1. So this time, do you think you'll be able to get revenge on him?
이제 다음 상대는 고병재 선수를 만날 건데 최근에 GSL에서 고병재 선수가 이겼어요. 2대1. 그래가지고 복수할 수 있는지.
지금 제가 테란전 개념이 좀 약간 안 잡혀 있는 상태여서 만약에 고병재 선수를 이긴다면은 뭐 마루 선수까지 이길 수 있을 것 같고 만약에 진다면은 좀 위험할 것 같아요. 네.
So he says, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not very confident in my PVT right now. I don't feel like I have the 100% grasp on it. But that being said, if I am able to defeat Gumio, I think that'll give me the confidence to go on and even defeat Maru. But on the flip side, if I somehow lose against Gumio, I think it'll be very, very difficult for me. So we'll see how the next series plans out. Good luck in your next match, and we'll see how it goes. Kaelaris, back to you.
Thank you very much. Action going on still here at the battle station for IEM. We have Maru versus Special. Todd has that one.
Yeah, we finally got second map started here. What is going on with
James? Is
Let's
very
jump
excited.
into it quickly before I see any more of this here. Special's about to drop 4 Hellions like we've seen him do in the past. And yeah, let's see how Maru can handle this. That's not what you want to attack, Special. Go for these SCVs, please. And yeah, if Special can do enough damage here, he would have actually a pretty good chance. So far, not looking too bad. I mean, he did lose the Medivac. 4 SCVs though, is it really enough, Big? I know you're Grandmaster with all 3 races.
Well, you know, the soup doesn't lie, and right now Maru's up 4 supply, 3 supply, so...
Todd, why have you written over the supply? What's going on?
Did I?
Look down.
Or was it like that?
Has it always been that way?
Yeah.
Is that how is that Todd vision? Is that what it looks like every game?
That's all.
Todd vision, you only see in this box here.
Oh,
That's it.
Great, great. Any more updates from that, I suppose?
Looks like some nice counter-attack damage from Maru as well,
Yeah.
so he's going to be taking a pretty good lead there in game number 2.
Cool. Thank you very much, Todd, for checking in with you. We have Gumio versus TY. Pig, what happened and what do?
TY did close it out with a 2-0 over Gumio. We can hop in game and I can show you just the decisive moment. Was a Proxy Reaper build from TY, brought out the aggression and came up here. Gumio had not scouted, so he was blindsided and does get a cancel on that command center. So this was just a great advantage from the start in this game, and it kind of progressed from there. Later on, there's a counter Liberator. We can kind of hop out now. And he just defended the counter Liberator perfectly with his Cyclones and managed to just defend and get ahead. So TY there, he closed it out in the end with beautiful, clean mech play. He was up against Gummio was like, I know I'm behind. He tried to do this like Cyclone Hellbat sort of surround the army, but he just had less stuff. So just clean, awesome play from TY.
How are these Reapers getting so much work done this tournament? Every single time we hop into a series, it's like those Reapers are doing well,
Beyond should have come, man. Beyond was here.
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's check in with the group and see how the results are shaping up here for the Intel Extreme Masters. TY, Maru, Dia, looking at those top 3 spots at the moment. Gumiho, Special, and ShoWTimE down in the pits. Todd, the pits.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we often say the Korean players, they are the best, and it's proving true here once again with TY and Maru. I don't know what they had for breakfast, but they are not messing around here today. It's going to be a sick clash, actually, when they play one another. They might not even need to if they keep on winning every single map that they play against everybody else.
Well, Todd, good for you, because that match is next here on the main stream.
Yes!
Maru versus TY! Okay, so we're going to go to a short break here, ladies and gentlemen, and when we return, we get Maru versus TY. It's going to be a TVT. It's going to be great. See you soon.